And good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Gonzalez. I would like to start off by saying what a pleasure it has been in teaching Samuel. He is such a wonderful student, he is focused and he works hard. And I would also like to take this time to introduce myself, as I have been teaching your son for 4 months now, and it is good to get to know me. I graduated from the University of Central Florida, receiving my bachelor's and my master's degree in mathematics education. I have been teaching for 5 years now, and I can sincerely say that I love my job. I have dreamt of becoming a teacher all my life, ever since I was a little girl. And my goal is to share my passion of mathematics with all my students. Right now, I teach pre-calculus, regular, and honors for ninth grade and 10th graders. I also teach calculus at the AP level for 11th and 12th graders. Samuel, as you know, is in my fourth period class at pre-calculus, regular. I would also like to add that I encourage students as well as you parents to contact me if you have any questions or concern, especially if you want to keep up with Samuel's academic performance and progress in my class. I will give my contact information to you guys before you leave today. Also tell you a little bit about my class and my expectations. The goals I have for my students are to participate during class, to turn in assignments on time, and to just try their best. And my goal as the teacher is to provide my students with the best learning environment. I plan to accommodate my classroom to benefit all of my students. And by the end of the school year, I hope to have made an impact in their lives and help them pass my class and be proud of their accomplishments. In my pre-calculus classes, students can expect to see various concepts being covered like derivatives, functions, logarithmic functions, curve sketching, and much more. We cover a lot, and as of right now, we have completed chapters 1 through 4. So we have mastered functions and graphs, lines and rates of change, sequences and series, and polynomial and rational functions. So we've covered a lot so far. On my classes on a day-to-day, they consist of daily homework assignments, weekly quizzes, and monthly tests. And those are the main assignments. I will have extra credit here and there, but it consists of homework assignments, quizzes, and tests. So I will always begin my class periods by answering any questions my students have from the previous night's homework. I will then teach my lesson, introducing a new topic in the remainder of the class, and I will complete multiple practice problems that are identical to the homework I assign. This way, they can use the notes we take in class side by side with their homework, and it'll help them. I expect my students to be familiar and confident enough to take quizzes every Friday related to the topic that we discussed that week. And most of the chapters have about 4 quizzes that lead up to the chapter test, which is normally given at the beginning of every month. Just so you guys have an estimate of when the quizzes are and when the tests are. And in terms of grading, 40% of the final grade is homework, 30% is quizzes, and the other 30% is the test grades. So as you notice, the highest grade percentage is homework. And I truly believe that the homework that I provide them is key. I give my students homework that is the practice they need to pass my course. It's not busy work. And here, as you can see, I made it a line graph to show you Samuel's performance in my class. And I have all good things to say. He has been consistent in completing his homework assignments, which are in regards to participation. As you can tell, he has a straight 100% on all homework. So if you complete all of the homework questions, I will give you 100% regardless if it is correct or not. Like I mentioned before, is we go over the homework during the class time so they can, if they have a problem wrong, they can see it on the board and correct it on their paper. It's because homework is practice. I get more serious in my grading on the quizzes and the tests. And as you can see, Samuel has been doing a wonderful job on his quizzes and his tests. He has received all passing scores. You can tell that he's been doing his homework and using that homework as practice for the quizzes and using the grades of the quizzes to practice for his tests. He's doing a great job. I also, in my classroom, I use the universal design for learning in all of my mathematics classes. This just ensures that each student has an equal opportunity to learn. If you're not familiar with UDL, it is an instructional framework that supports flexible ways for us teachers to teach lessons. So its goal is to reach all learners, including students with disabilities and English language learners, which both describe Samuel. I also I provided here some examples of my implications of UDL with images. So as you can see in this photo, I use dictionaries. In this one, I use visual aids. I also incorporate a lot of assistive technology, which I will describe more later. And I like to encourage group activity, especially when practicing new topics. It's good for them to work in groups and have each other just to help, you know, especially with the English language learners. Group activities and group work are very beneficial for them. Some other strategies and accommodations, that I implement in my classroom are the dictionaries, like I said. I have Spanish and English dictionaries available for my students at all times. Mathematic terminology can be quite hard to understand, especially for those that are English language learners, even those that aren't. So I have these dictionaries provided for them just to better their comprehension and understanding during lessons. I also incorporate the use of visual aids in my classroom. When solving word problems, for example, in mathematics, it helps to draw a picture. It also helps to use visual aids like graph paper to assist those students with math learning disabilities specifically. They have difficulty counting and difficulty with numbers, and the graphing paper can help them. And I also incorporate the use of mnemonics to learn math concepts and the use of music and rhythm. They help students memorize. So I like to incorporate that in my class. A well-known mnemonic that I use and I refer to very often, I'm sure you hear Samuel use it when he's doing his homework, is SOHCAHTOA. It's for them to memorize their trigonometry and what sine, cosine, and tangent is good for them to memorize. And for those students who struggle with mathematics, technology can be used as a tool alongside their day-to-day problem solving and math problems to help them understand and comprehend what they are learning and what they are doing. So some assistive technology in my classroom that I have available to them always is the graphing calculators, which they all use on a daily basis, is very helpful. Graphing paper, which I mentioned before, what benefits it has for those students. Manipulatives, graphic organizers, and math notations tools. I try to provide my students with all things they need to succeed. Uh, I think that's it. I want to thank you guys so much for your time and for meeting with me. I'm glad to have your son Samuel in my class. I'm proud to show you guys his progress and his great performance in my class. I have noticed that my accommodations in my classroom have really benefited him, both academically and personally. I can tell he's growing more and more confident in math and in school. I have had a lot of experience with students with learning disabilities as well as students being English language learners. And I understand as the parent you might have, a lot of concerns and want to stay informed. So please feel free to contact me for anything you need and any other accommodations that you want me to incorporate in my classroom. Feel free to tell me. My main goal is to make the best learning environment for Samuel. Thank you.